All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Catholic Citizen, episode 11. My name is Peter Range, and I can't wait to give you my biased Catholic opinion here in just 1 minute. All right, friends, what a joy it is to have you back here at the Catholic Citizen. I love doing this show week in and week out, and I love hearing from you as well, whether you agree or disagree. I love the opportunity to dialogue and seek the truth together. So thanks for joining us. Before we jump into today's or this week's show, please help us out at awakencatholic.org/donate. They spend hours just getting me ready for this show. So all the makeup and these clothes, which cost... Well, actually, they don't cost very much at all, but we need your help here at Awaken Catholic to continue these great podcasts. So please help us out at awakencatholic.org/donate. Secondly, there's a great app, and on the app, you can interact with the show hosts, including yours truly. So please download the app today. You can get all this free premium content, even while you're driving in the car. You can put it on the seat next to you and listen to these shows as you drive into work. Finally, Casa Bella Cleaning. If you're looking for cleaning here in Northwest Ohio, whether that's your commercial or residence or just making sure that your home is clean for your family. Casa Bella Cleaning is the place to go to. They take care of all those little things in your house or your place of business to make sure that you are prepared in this COVID-19 world. So please visit Casa Bella Cleaning today. All right, now on today's show, there's so much news to cover, and I feel a little naked here because I don't have my paper. My paper is just so very important to me. It's kind of like when I'm reading a book. I don't want to read it on a Kindle. I want to have that book in my hands. Nonetheless, I'm going to have to work from the computer today. So again, it's just one more reason why we need you to donate here at Awaken Catholic so they can afford paper to print off my show. With that being said, today is the 48th anniversary of the Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court decision which legalized abortion here in the United States in all 50 states across our land. And unfortunately, that has led to the death of 61 million Americans, 61 million unborn children. There's nothing on the planet today which is taking more innocent human life than abortion. So there should be no issue which draws more of our Catholic attention than this primary fundamental issue, the issue of the right to life. St. John Paul II said we're called to fight this issue with maximum determination. The Church has been very clear that no politician, including one claiming to be a serious and faithful Catholic, can support abortion policies. But here we are in this nation now with a president who claims the Catholic faith as his own, but supporting abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. Some of that is because we in the Christian church have embraced this idea of comfortable Christianity rather than a courageous one. We need to call things as they are. And when politicians embrace abortion that go directly against the Word of God and the faith teaching of the church for 2,000 years, that every single human life made in the image and likeness of God is deserving of that first fundamental right, the right to life, then how can we be claimed to be Christian anymore? Folks, the reality is, if we don't get this issue right, we're not going to get any other issue right. St. Mother Teresa said the fact and the reality that, if a mother can kill her own child, what is to keep me from killing you, or vice versa? I mean, it's the most sacred of relationships in the family that abortion takes place. And it's not that we don't have mercy and compassion for moms who've had abortions, who are seeking, help in an unexpected pregnancy. Absolutely, we pour out compassion and love and mercy upon them. But we have to wake up to the slaughtering of the innocents. How much blood must be spilt before God's justice becomes known here on earth? Friends, if the blood of one man, the blood of Abel, called out to God for justice, how much more does 61 million unborn children ripped apart in their mother's wombs, flushed down the toilets here in the United States of America? It's got to end. It's got to end with us. That's why we focus so much on this issue here at the Catholic Citizen. And it's why you, too, should focus on this issue as well. Let me just ask this question for those individuals. There's many who I discuss with on Facebook and other platforms about, whether or not the abortion issue is right and whether or not a mother has full autonomy over her own body. Some of those issues who fight for this pro-choice stance, also fight for a pro-LGBT stance, supporting some of the executive orders that President Biden has now taken, for example, to allow men into women's restrooms, to allow biological men into women's shelters, including women's battered shelters. These policies that are allowing biological men to participate in sports, female sports, and everything like that. If there was technology available that would allow an individual to see that an individual in the womb was going to actually be born struggling with transgenderism or have gender dysphoria, and that mother decided that because of that, she wanted to abort her child, would you support that? It's just something to think about. If you believe fully in woman's autonomy over her own body, should they be allowed to abort their children if they're going to turn out LGBT, if we had a way to figure that out? What do you think? A question to think about when it comes to these two issues that you somehow support together. All right. So much to get to, though, with this show. So let me just dive in with a few things that have struck me this past week and really upset me. The first is, I would argue that having so many National Guards troops in D.C. was complete overkill, to protect the inauguration. Now, I understand what happened in the Capitol is absolutely unprecedented. It was awful. It started actually, NPR was reporting, it started the insurrection, if you will, at 9 a.m. with individuals causing problems at the Capitol. That was well before the couple hours that even President Trump went up and gave his speech. But with that being said, I mean, we had more troops there than we had in Iraq and Syria and everything, in Afghanistan. With that being said, okay, if you're going to have troops there, but take care of them. There was an article that just came out of Politico that the troops were sent to basically a garage to sleep in with only one outlet and one bathroom to use. So please take care of our military. And that makes me really upset when people bemoan or they don't take care of the military or the police for that matter. I spent 20 minutes last night talking to a Toledo police officer. He's got a little son who's just afraid that his daddy, when he goes to work, because he puts on the uniform, is going to get shot and killed. As Officer Stalker just shot and killed in the line of duty the other night in Toledo. But you have people continuing to bemoan and put down our police and military. It's just ridiculous. It's sad. We shouldn't do it. We need to take care of our military and police and make sure that they're fully funded to be able to take care and protect us. Look, the military, I'm not saying they're the solution to when it comes to all our foreign conflicts and things of that nature, but there is the reality that the military and the police here at home, our first responders, they protect us. And, we need to protect them at the end of the day as well. All right. Secondly, the second story that caught me this week from Forbes magazine. Get this. Let me just read this to you. Microsoft's billionaire founder, Bill Gates, is financially backing the development of a sun-dimming technology that would potentially reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, triggering a global cooling effect. Basically, what he wants to do is spray non-toxic calcium carbonate dust into the atmosphere, a sun-reflecting aerosol that may offset the effects of global warming. So to stop global warming, what they want to do is they want to send dust into the atmosphere. As the article points out, what could go wrong with that? This is getting absolutely nuts, and it's going to have completely detrimental effects if they do these things for the rest of us. Think about when there's a volcano eruption. What happens? Well, dust is sprayed into the air. And when this happened, for example, in Indonesia in 1815, there was a terrible drought because it was a summer that was completely cold. Okay, so all the crops that people needed to eat, they wouldn't grow in this cold temperature. That's what happens when there's a volcanic eruption and all the dust is in the air. But now we don't want to wait for a volcanic eruption. We just want to send it up there because we got billions of dollars like Bill Gates. And why not? Maybe that will stop global warming. We can talk more about global warming at another show, and we certainly will. But if you believe fully that global warming is taking place, but you think sending dust up into the atmosphere is a solution, let's have a beer. How about Bill Gates? Someone tell Bill Gates to keep his dust out of the atmosphere, to keep his money out of buying more contraception and abortion in Africa, which he continues to push through the Gates Foundation, and tell him to keep his opinion far away from vaccine as well as we talk about it. But I digress. All right, third story is catching my mind. I mentioned at the beginning of the story President-elect Biden has just nominated Pennsylvania health expert Dr. Rachel Levine to be the Assistant Secretary for Health in the Department of Health and Human Services, in a move that could make Dr. Levine the first openly transgender federal official to win Senate confirmation. Levine is currently the Secretary of Health in Pennsylvania, where she leads the state's fight against COVID-19. Oh, by the way, she moved her grandmother out of a nursing home facility, and then she sent other COVID patients, 19s, into the COVID-19 patients in those nursing home facilities. But I digress. Let me talk about a few things with this issue. Number one, every transgender individual, anybody who's struggling with their identity, they should be treated like the rest of us are treated, with respect, with love and kindness. And that's why I've had in my office individuals who have struggled with their transgender identity. Sitting on my couch, I've talked with them, I prayed with them, I've walked with them, I treat them the same as anybody else. But here's the reality. There's a few implications with this. You know, when Amy Coney Barrett was going through her nomination to become a federal court judge, you know, Dianne Feinstein brought up the fact that she was, you know, Catholic, and the dogma lived loudly within her. So her personal faith, her personal views mattered then. You had other people questioned by now Vice President Kamala Harris that said, well, this individual is part of the Knights of Columbus, this dangerous Catholic organization. They shouldn't be able to hold federal office. But when we on, you know, maybe the more conservative side bring up the fact that an individual who's going to be forming health policy for the rest of the country happens themselves to believe that you can transition from one gender to the next by lopping off through surgically your body parts and putting on body parts that are not your own, and thinks that should be something that is allowed in healthcare plans, and actually doctors should be forced to perform these surgeries for people, otherwise they're going to be sued. Yes, I'm going to bring a little question mark to that appointment. Their personal views and their personal lives matter on this issue, particularly when it comes to health. And, you know, President Biden just signed the executive order the other day, reported across the news, that basically will allow boys that identify as girls to compete in girls' athletic competitions. Men who identify as women must be allowed in women's spaces only, including bathrooms. And healthcare plans must pay for gender transition procedures, and doctors and hospitals must perform them. Executive fiat. Now, one issue with executive orders is we just have this yo-yo with policy. That's why we have a democracy. That's why we go through the democratic process, where we go through and you have to find compromises on these issues. It's why we believe in subsidiarity, where we can handle these situations case by case at a local basis, and we can be compassionate. But here we have the federal government telling you that now, you know, if your little girl goes into the restroom, well, someone who identifies as a biological male can go in there. And some people might say, who are advocates for transgenders, look, they're at no danger from transgender individuals. Fair enough. But they're at danger for those individuals who might be pedophiles who dress up as a transgender individual and go into those restrooms or locker rooms or whatever it may be. Don't believe me? Do a few Google searches. You can find the cases where this happened, and those individuals are now behind bars. So does it sound fair to you if you have a young daughter running track or swimming, and she is consistently beaten in that sport by a male who is transitioning? Does that seem fair to you? What does that do to your young girl's psyche, who is year in and year out, you know, beat by a biological male? I mean, we are lambasted on the right sometimes in the conservative view that we fight for the patriarchy, we fight for male dominance, and so on and so forth. Yet here you are telling males that they can dominate females in their own sports. You've got to be kidding me. Folks, wake up. Does it seem fair to you that a woman who is running from an abusive relationship, an abusive male, will have to share rooms in a battered women's shelter with a biological male? Does that seem fair to you? Does that seem protecting women in your life? My goodness, have you never encountered a woman who's been battered and been beaten by a male in her life? Do you have no compassion for her, that she should have to go into a women's shelter and share a space with a biological male? My God. Oh, it makes me so upset. It makes me so upset in this culture, especially as a man a man who's called to protect and defend women and children, that you're just dismissing this for these individuals who, yes, we need to have compassion with, but they're struggling from gender dysphoria. And we can't bend over all our laws and all our normal practices just so that they feel comfortable. Yes, we should help them, but you don't make the exception the rule for the rest of us. Does it seem fair or normal that doctors will be forced to perform transgender surgeries or be sued? Folks, this is absolutely crazy. Let's just look at health, okay? Health has told us, these surgeries that take place. And we know that good medical practice, okay, because scientists have found out that male and female bodies, they tend to be susceptible or they react differently to different diseases in different ways, to differing degrees, and they respond to treatments differently as well. So if you have an individual saying, well, no, I identify as this opposite gender, but then they encounter a disease or whatever it may be, and they must be treated as this opposite gender, it's actually not good for them either. So you're forcing this ideology on the rest of us, which is not good for society, but then it's also not good for the patients themselves. There are studies that have been done around the country. There's a great Swedish study as well that says that those individuals who actually end up getting transgender surgery, they have higher suicide rates than those who don't get the transgender surgery. So if you're trying to be compassionate towards those individuals, it's not compassionate to lie to them. To say that, if you feel like getting this surgery is going to help you and it's going to help you more identify as that gender, it doesn't help them. We're not helping them and we're not helping society. Please stop. Stop. Take a second and just think about this from a common sense perspective. I'm not telling you not to love people. I'm not telling you not to walk with them. But I am telling you that buying into this lie, which has been perpetrated on our culture, is not healthy for you, for them, for any of us. All right. Last part of the show here. I can be tough on church leadership, including our bishops, and I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to share the truth here in love and mercy because our bishops need to step up and need to lead today. It's why, after 22 years after they made this statement that no Catholic politician, especially one claiming to be a serious and faithful Catholic, can, advocate for abortion in the public square, that we have a president in Joe Biden who is now supporting abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. But, look at what a good Catholic is. He went to Mass, the day he was inaugurated. But huge props to 3 bishops this week. First is for Archbishop Salvador Cordileone from San Francisco, who said that no Catholic in good conscience can favor abortion, responding to Nancy Pelosi, who also claims the Catholic faith to be her own, but supports abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. He said, "Our land is soaked with the blood of the innocent, and it must stop." Amen, Bishop. Well said. A second, props to Archbishop Jose Gomez, who took a conciliatory tone with reaching out to newly elected President Joe Biden, saying, hey, there's some issues, immigration issues that we can work on together, healthcare issues that we can work on together. But then he didn't mince words when he said, at the same time as pastors, the nation bishops are given the duty of proclaiming the gospel in all its truth and power, in season and out of season, even when the teaching is inconvenient or when the gospel truths run contrary to the directions of the wider society and culture. So I must point out that our new president has pledged to pursue certain policies that would advance moral evils and threat human life and dignity, most seriously in the areas of abortion, contraception, marriage, and gender, which we've already seen. Of deep concern is the liberty of the church and the freedom of believers to live according to their consciences. For the nation's bishops, the continued injustice of abortion remains the preeminent priority. Preeminent does not mean only. We have deep concerns about many threats of human life and dignity in our society. But as Pope Francis teaches, we cannot stay silent when nearly 1 million unborn children are being cast aside in our country year after year through abortion. Well done, Archbishop Jose Gomez. And I can't believe that other bishops are, criticizing him for simply being Catholic. Nothing wrong with that, Archbishop Gomez. You have our support. Lastly, that leads my third props to bishops, and this time it's our own here in the Diocese of Toledo. Last night, Bishop Thomas at the Mass for Life on the eve of Roe v. Wade spoke, and he was commenting on the National Mall there outside the Lincoln Memorial, where, oh, by the way, Joe Biden, after making a federal mandate saying that you must wear masks on federal property, goes out there and doesn't wear a mask for the nation to see. And when the press secretary was pushed on this, she said, hey, we've got bigger issues to worry about. Isn't that interesting? When you have President Trump or, somebody like the governor of Florida or something like that, they're not wearing a mask and it's a national emergency. But now Joe Biden takes office and, bigger things to worry about. I mean, folks, look, I'm not a ginormous Republican or something of that nature. Look, there was plenty of things I've pointed out on this show and others that I'm like, President Trump is just absolutely nuts on some of these things. However, can we just all acknowledge the hypocrisy that is in the media sometimes? I mean, it's just absolutely mind-blowing. You got to be kidding me. I mean, they were talking about the luminaries that illuminated National Mall, which was really very touching and very beautiful. But someone mentioned it was like Joe Biden's arms coming to wrap it around America. It was like this big hug from, Uncle Joe. With that being said, Bishop Thomas mentioned last night that it was quite touching and quite beautiful, remembering the victims of COVID, these luminaries that illuminated the National Mall there, the pool outside of the Lincoln Memorial. But then he just simply asked the question, where are the luminaries for the unborn? Where are the lights, the luminaries, for the nearly 1 million children that are killed every year in our nation through abortion? Where are they? Why don't we remember those children? A good question from Bishop Thomas. And I just want to encourage you, friends, that you are the luminaries now today. You are the luminaries that must remember these unborn children, these 61 million, probably much more because some states don't even have to report their numbers to the CDC. But the 61 million unborn children that are killed every year, slaughtered in their mother's wombs. Friends, I challenge you moving forward. Be a luminary, be a light for these unborn children. Maybe you've never been engaged in the pro-life cause before. Today is that day. This is the day that we face a great choice between life and death in our nation. 48 years is too long. Join us, join me in the fight for life, in the fight for truth, for the fight for justice, and the fight for common sense here at the Catholic Citizen. God bless you. We'll see you next week.
This show and all media on Awaken Catholic is made possible by the AWAKEN Nation and the Hallow app. The AWAKEN Nation is a community of people like you who support all things Awaken for as cheap as a cup of coffee a week and get access to exclusive content. Learn more by visiting awakencatholic.org/donate. Hallow is the only audio-guided Catholic prayer app focused on contemplative prayer and traditional Catholic meditation such as Lectio Divina, Daily Examen, and the Rosary. We here at Awaken all use Hallow every day and love it. To learn more or give it a try, visit hallow.app/awaken.